Hi there, folks. This is Brian Nolf, and you are listening to Northern Michigan Musicians Journal. Here's an original song called My Niche. Are you traditional? Are you contemporary? Tenor, bass, or baritone? That's what they'd ask me down on Music Row. But I don't know what I'd say but this. After searching low and high, I finally hit my niche. I get green to sing a new song, same thing to croon the old. I play it straight or swing with the punches on the board. No, I don't mind if the chorus flies with high-tech men and stitch. I don't take myself too seriously, and that could be my niche. Well, armchair experts tell me how to play the game and consolidating my sound down to one. But Chicago, Bristol, New Orleans, it's all the same. There's nothing new beneath the blues that we all borrowed from. I've stood in the center and been a shadow on the side. I've stumbled on that ladder and got my bell rung since I've tried to be someone they can run in people pans and picks. Still, if I'm happy where I am, then I'll make that my niche. Well, I've been told people won't love a guy like me, 'cause there's no guarantee just what they'll get. But I'll leave it in the halls of fate at Carnegie. Well, one way or another, I may get to play there yet. But I'm from north of Detroit City, a modest town called Cadillac, raised on cold, hard country music, white as snow the day I packed to bring me down to Music Town without a phony pitch. I've learned to take what others leave, and that could be my niche. Well, now you may want to hate me and get angry that you love it, and say, who does that guy think he is? And that will be my niche. Here's another original song called By Love, I Mean You. Forgive me, I don't mean to be indirect. It's hard to detect what I'm trying to say. I get in my own way, I'll spit it out. You're amazing, think about you an awful lot. No, awful's not the word I mean. Man, this coming clean is confusing you, no doubt. By doubt, I mean sure. By sure, I mean this thing. This thing I mean between you and me. That's what I'm getting to. By two, I mean one heart. By heart, I mean true. By true, I mean that kind of love. And by love, I mean you. Whatever comes out of me is due to nerves. All my nouns and verbs get tangled up when I consider what holding your hand does to me. Well, I'd kiss you if it wouldn't cause me to forget what I haven't yet got around to say. And it's hard to explain when you shine till love can't see. By love, I mean sure. By sure, I mean this thing. This thing I mean between what I'm getting to. By two, I mean one heart. By heart, I mean true. By true, I mean that kind of love. And by love, I mean you. Tongue tripping, word skipping is not my normal way. But I can see you get me by the smile on your face. By God, this is a sure thing. By sure, I mean you. By you, I mean us. And now you're on the same page too. By two, I mean one heart. By heart, I mean true. By true, I mean that kind of love. And by love, I mean you. By true, I mean that kind of love. And by love, I mean you.
You're watching Northern Michigan Musicians Journal. I'm Steve Page. My new friend Brian Nolf is going to accompany me on a song I wrote quite a few years ago. It's called Try and Love You More. 2, 1, 2. It's no surprise we have our problems, 'cause you're a woman, I'm a man. And though I try so hard to please you, you say I just don't understand. But I could stop and listen, try to give you what you're missing, do some things I've never done before. And I could try and love you more. This life we live keeps me so busy. Sometimes I just don't think of you. The love you give I take so quickly, and then forget you need love too. But if I work hard at it, bet that I could change some habits. My love is truly yours. I could try and love you more. I could try and love you more. Yes, I could. Come easy for a man like me to please you. I think it's really love we came here for. And I could try and love you more. I could try and love you more. So I could try and love you more. I love you more.
Greetings, everybody out there in TV land. Welcome to another edition of Northern Michigan Musicians Journal. Before I introduce our guests, and even before I introduce Mary,
Right.
I just wanted to send out an appeal to you folks out there. If there's anybody who's been through training at Up North Media as a producer, we are looking for someone to run our control room and become part of the Northern Michigan Musicians Journal team. We're going on our third year. We have a lot of fun doing this, and there will be a telephone number on the graphics on the screen to let you know where to call, or you can call Up North Media, and you probably have their number if you're a producer. All right, now to my right is Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you?
Hi, Dolph.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Mary?
It has.
But only a short while this time, huh?
Yeah, that's right. We had the terrific duo Salage on a few days ago. And
Saldaje was here. We were just here on the 15th.
Melanie and Sean. And
Yes, and you might see them in July sometime.
yes.
And now it's the 17th, and to my left, there is Brian Nolf and Steve Page. Steve is a guitar and amplifier repair technician.
Among other things, yes.
And Brian is a performer who's been all over the country and lives up here near Traverse City. So we're going to find out about these folks. I know that Steve has a busy schedule, so he stopped in for a little while, but we did squeeze a song out of him, and we might be seeing him in the future on our show.
Thank you.
Maybe even repair an amplifier on our show or something.
There you go.
So we'll get introductions, and then we'll probably, you might have some questions of Steve too, and then because he's got to get going. So, but Brian, tell us about what you're up to these days, say in the last 12 months going back, and the future up here in Traverse City.
Well, 12 months ago, I was still living in Nashville.
Wow.
I was wrapping up 23 years down there. And I moved up here last October. It was kind of an impulse that I obeyed.
Yeah.
And thought, I wonder if I can get a renter for my house and just go up to Michigan for a while and see what happens.
So you have a
Performing
house
there.
in Nashville, huh?
Yeah, so I put an ad on Craigslist, the magical Craigslist, and within a week had renters who wanted a year lease. And 6 weeks later, I was here.
Wow. Well, that's great. Now, is it true that Nashville is full of couches because musicians like to sleep on couches?
I don't know if we have more than anyone else, but we certainly have our share, I'm sure of that.
Yeah,
And lots of churches you can stay at, too, that'll let you stay there if you're really destitute, yeah.
Oh, wow. Now, that's a new one.
Yeah, that's
just
new.
remember that churches will let you sleep there. And that's great. And so, well, where are you playing now? You got a regular gig, or where did you play last?
I have a regular Thursday out on the bay here at Park Shore.
Okay.
Play there on Thursday nights, Park Shore Resort. They have a happy hour there, and we always have a good time.
Yeah, I was there
That's where I met Mary.
a few weeks ago, and
Well, tell us about it, Mary. Was
well, I was with my friend Jim Phelps, and she's known in a lot of circles as Little Country DJ, and I think she even filled in with the mandolin a few times while you were on break.
That's
and
right. I have to get Jean up on stage when she's there. It's a crime not to.
so
because
you
that
know,
she
you
didn't-
know Jean.
I know Jean, Little
right.
Country DJ. She's very entertaining.
Yes, and she also did the roundup a couple weeks before, and she also filled in for Billy Strings and Dan Gillen over at Little Bohemia, and
Okay.
she got to play Billy's banjo. And
So, Mary, you're promoting DJ, I think.
yes,
What about the show? How was
Well,
Brian?
he was terrific,
Thank you.
and he was really good on taking requests, and he played an excellent program that night. And
That's great. And then Mary gave me a call, and he says, we got to have Brian on our show.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
yes,
And it was great. We put a couple of your songs at the beginning of the show. We're going to put a couple at the end. And then we also have a special guest. Steve Page, I think, wasn't your brother Jimmy Page?
Yes,
From
right.
Led Zeppelin.
My older brother.
Yes.
No, I wish. He spells his name a little differently. There's an I in the middle of my name.
Oh, okay. And you're also a master technician in repairing amps and guitars and.
Well, I don't know about the master part, but I've been doing it 40 years, so yeah, I've soldered a few joints and worked on a lot of amps over the years.
Brian might have some questions. What kind of amp do you use, Brian?
I'm a bass player by trade primarily, so I
Yeah.
always used an old Ampeg tube amp.
Oh, that's the
Really?
best bass amp you
Classic
could get.
70s, yeah. And
Which one?
it was the SVT.
Really? You
like
had
a
a
seven-
tube SVT?
I had a 1973 tube
You should have
SVT.
bigger arms. That thing that's has a record, I think, of being the heaviest amp made. I know it had the most tubes of any guitar amp.
Doesn't that fold into the speaker box when you're for transporting?
Not that one.
Not the SVT. There's another Ampeg
There is
that does
okay.
that.
I played in a band with a guy who had one of those,
Yeah.
but Ampeg and as much as I preach that Ampeg is the greatest, I have a PV Tour,
Oh, okay.
PV Tour 700, with that little what's that problem they have?
I don't know. You
It's
ever
like a
mention it?
compressor. Yeah, the light comes on and it kept cutting out, and it's actually a flaw, and PV's going to fix it for free as soon as I call them and get the address.
I do have a question for Steve.
Yeah.
What's that?
When I had that Ampeg SVT repaired in Nashville, they refurbished it for me.
Okay.
The guy that worked on it was a master repairman in Nashville, the one that Vince Gill and Ricky Skaggs and
Okay.
everybody used him. He said that he considered Ampeg to be the one who got the circuit board right on bass amps, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
Well, I guess I'm
he
not
was very
sure
impressed with that amp.
what he meant is getting the circuit board right. I've seen some other Ampeg, they started making printed circuit boards where everyone else was doing point-to-point wiring. And
He was referring to the vintage amps.
Okay.
He felt as though they should not have drifted from that way of making the amplifier.
Okay.
And I wasn't sure if anyone else felt that way, but
Well,
he liked the vintage amps better than the new ones.
Well, I'm all for that. Yeah, they're definitely more roadworthy and more durable. They were meant to last longer. So definitely the vintage amps were more solid, easier to take care of, I think.
When I think some musicians might tell you that's not true. You take an old vintage amp out and it's going to go down on you, and I don't think that's the case. I mean, at least that wasn't for me. It lasted just fine.
Amps are kept in damp areas sometimes. Isn't that harmful to the components, the old ones especially?
Well, the old ones that have all the metal in them, the metal contact surfaces, they will oxidize in a damp area. They'll oxidize normally, but it's accelerated when you're in a damp environment. And so it's mainly your switches, your jacks, your metal parts that have to conduct the current. They'll build up just like silver in a drawer or silver jewelry. You know how you get a little black coating with time?
So there's like 10 basement guitar players to every one. There's probably 100 basement guitar players to every one guy who's out on the road playing. And so those amps, it could get a bad rap from being in the basement band thing. There's, of course, in North Carolina they have attic bands, but
Well, if you use them enough, then the heat generated, the amps generate heat, that dried out. Just put a dehumidifier in your practice room.
But I think that's probably one reason why those old tube amps fail and got a bad rap. But it's not because the way they're built. It's because you got to take care of them.
Where they're kept. Yeah.
Where they're kept, and if you keep up on them. Yep. Tube amps in general need a little more maintenance than the new solid state, but they were just more durable in general and sweeter sound. Everyone likes the tube sound.
Yes.
It's a totally different sound, really, than the solid state sound.
They're trying to imitate it with the
they've been
computers.
working on that for a long time.
Do you think they're getting close?
They're getting closer.
Yeah.
I still think most musicians with really sensitive ears can usually tell the difference, though.
I think
it's always
it
a
is
warmer
nice
sound.
when you pick up an amp and can carry it nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's a
As
big
the
advantage.
amps keep getting heavier as the years go by, except for the newer ones. The technology, like Bose, they're pressed fiberboard, so it's not like that thick wood anymore. You lose a little sound quality, don't you?
Well, it's a different product, and a lot of baby boomer musicians like myself, we want small, light amps. And so we don't want tube amps in general, just to have more metal in them, and they're heavier.
Yeah, I know. I'll appreciate that someday, when I get a little older. Right?
Yeah, when you catch up. You're still a young kid now. But
And then you're not turning everything to 11 either.
Oh yeah, I can't. I went to the store. I can't get an amp that goes up to 11. I saw.